Early morning, in a small village in Dhanushkoti, a large catch comes in. The intensity of work increases. 3 turtles are caught in the net. A few years back, these endangered turtles might not have seen freedom. Today, the capacity building work of the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve Trust, with the support of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and Global Environment Facility, GEF, has made such a conservation effort possible. The story began in 2002 when serious concerns emerged about the deterioration of the status of the biodiversity of the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve. The reserve is the first marine biosphere reserve in South and Southeast Asia, covering an area of 10,500 square kilometers, stretching from Rameshwaram to Kanyakumari, including 360 kilometers of coastal length. The Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park, 560 square kilometers, was established in 1986. Its 21 coral-rich islands and surrounding shallow water habitat is the core area of the Biosphere Reserve. These islands are mainly in 4 groups: Mandapam Group, Kelakarai Group, Vembar Group, and Tuticorin Group. The Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve is home to over 3,600 species of marine flora and fauna. The biological richness of this area is evident in the fact that it has a rich diversity of corals, fishes, seagrass, mollusks, crustaceans, echinoderms, sponges, eels, dolphins, and seahorses. It is also the home for sea turtles, and the highly endangered sea cow or the dugong. The islands are also home to a large variety of birds. Some islands have dense mangrove cover. It is these coral and mangrove islands which lessen the impact of tsunami. But the rich biodiversity of this region has also made it vulnerable to overexploitation and destruction. At the turn of the century, many conservationists felt the area was facing threats which could lead to an irreplaceable loss of marine resources. The emerging figures of exploitation were shocking. 85,000 fishermen in a population of 1.2 lakhs in 252 villages directly depend on marine resources for livelihood. Every day, over 3,200 mechanized and 1,100 non-mechanized boats enter the waters of Gulf of Mannar. The trawlers operate outside the reserve area in the open sea, but illegal fishing is a common problem. These trawlers harvest the sea indiscriminately, feeding a large export industry. The traditional fishing communities are heavily dependent on the reserve for livelihood. Each village area has its own specialized fishing practice. In Dhanushkoti area, shore scene fishing brings in large catches every day. Traditional fishing in Kelakarai area has a large number of villages dependent on it for their livelihood. Over the years, the reduced catch has been forcing villagers to make their net sizes increasingly small. In Tuticorin, crab fishing industry is large, the catch running into crores of rupees. But a huge amount of natural resources are wasted as the bycatch is discarded. Many species face a useless death. In Mandapam, the ornamental fish market is in great demand. For this, the fragile coral reef areas are exploited. The Gulf of Mannar has a large variety of mollusks. Shank fishing is a major industry in this region. Villagers in Mandapam area specialize in this technique. These shells are sent to factories, which carry out the cleaning and polishing. This in turn feeds a large national and international tourism industry. In some regions, women specialize in seaweed gathering for medicines. Overexploitation of these resources is rampant as they fetch a good price in the international market. Illegal mining of the coral reefs over the years has caused major damages to the coral reefs. Turtles are exploited both directly and indirectly. All 5 species that are found in the Indian waters are in danger. Dugongs have been today hunted indiscriminately for meat, tusks for ivory carvings, and hide for leather products. This growing exploitation is aggravated by the unregulated tourism in Rameshwaram for pilgrimage. It has added to the levels of pollution and waste generation. Several power plants and industries discharge a high level of pollution both in the air and in the sea, which has destroyed several valuable marine species. The mass production of salt is leading to further salinity in the area. These problems with time have got aggravated by the lack of awareness and the lack of community support, making proper law enforcement almost impossible. It was into this highly conflict-ridden scenario that the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve Trust entered in 2002. It was created as the implementing agency for the Government of Tamil Nadu and UNDP-GEF project, Conservation and Sustainable Use of the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve Coastal Biodiversity.
The Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve, the first one started in the Indian subcontinent, has been doing a yeoman service immediately after it was converted into a trust. The Government of India, the state government and the GEF have been rendering assistance for setting up various projects, schemes and programs. This will benefit not only the people there on the coastal areas, but also the lives which are there in the Biosphere Reserve. The schemes are meant for protecting the people to have a sustained life, sustainable life, and also the biosphere animals, and which are, some of them are very, very rare. Those are also being protected. This would be a wonderful idea if we remember and then pass this on to our progeny.
The overall objective of this project is to conserve the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve's globally significant coastal biodiversity and to integrate conservation efforts to various sectors of development. The focus of the project is to empower local communities to manage the coastal ecosystem and wild resources in partnership with government and other stakeholders and making all accountable. In addition, the project seeks to develop management plans involving various stakeholders to monitor resources and develop strategies to adaptive management of resources and bring out behavioral changes.
So far we have done 7 years of execution, and the main challenge faced by the authorities engaged in implementing this project is to reconcile the fishing activity of the local people with the objectives of this whole project. It's a Herculean task to dissuade the local fishermen community from the traditional fishing activity to various other alternative livelihood projects. And this is where the challenge still remains. Although 7 years have passed, we are still testing it out, and we are sure that this project in its future time will tackle it successfully.
The project has developed strategies to deal with the core area by strengthening patrolling and legal action. Outside the core area, it has sought to create awareness by empowering village marine conservation and eco-development committees in 252 villages to rationally use the marine resources in a sustainable manner. In the Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park, the management has been strengthened by boundary demarcations and setting up anti-poaching measures like anti-poaching watchers and camps. Measures have also been undertaken to ensure the monitoring of the reserve through patrol boats and intelligence sharing.
The Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Trust also is helping to provide funds for the people who are giving information on intelligence about the crime that is taking place within the area. So thereby we are able to contain the poaching of the valuable resources that are highly endangered in the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere area.
The project also realized the lack of information available on the biodiversity of the region. Short and long-term research projects have been initiated with Suganti Devadasan Marine Research Institute, SDMRI, and the Department of Fisheries in order to gather scientific information of the area. Studies have been undertaken to map the biodiversity of the area using remote sensing. Research projects are being conducted to study the impacts of human pressure and weather changes on the coral reefs. In capacity building, the project has created considerable awareness through workshops, training programs, and awareness campaigns in schools and villages. Through the interventions of organizations like Center for Environment Education, Worldwide Fund for Nature, India, C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer Foundation, educational programs are organized in schools to create awareness about endangered marine species. Film screenings and slide presentations are used to build an interactive session with the students. Essay competitions, debating, painting competitions are devices used to make the children interested in environmental issues. Outdoor activities like beach cleaning generate excitement as well as create awareness. An awareness trip to see the coral reefs brings a new sense of knowledge to children. A march through villages involves the children in creating a positive approach to conservation, as well as helps in spreading the message. In collaboration with Worldwide Fund for Nature, India, workshops are organized with the teachers who in turn interact with the communities. Campaigns are regularly run in villages to create awareness about the use of the right net size and shape. The Arambugal Trust has worked out an effective method of street play in local music and dialect to sensitize the community. Local village functions generate considerable interest and excitement.
The Trust has attempted in several ways by making awareness campaigns, by involving the line departments for their upliftment, and also giving them the alternate livelihood. We have succeeded to make 252 village marine committee and eco development committees, and through which now the project is proceeding ahead towards its success.
The most effective and successful intervention of the project has been the Eco Development Program. Since a large part of threats are created due to livelihood demands, providing alternative livelihood options is the most important requirement to ensure conservation. The Trust, working in collaboration with NGOs, uses the model of eco-development committees to generate income generation activities in the self-help groups. Special emphasis has been given to empowering marginalized groups, and many of the projects are being run by women's self-help groups. In the creation of livelihood, it was important that the NGOs worked with EDC and SHGs to develop activities which were from the material readily available in the area. In Kelakarai area, mat weaving has proved to be an effective income generation activity for the women.
எங்க ஊர் திணைக்குளம் திணைக்குளத்தை சேர்ந்த காக்கையம் வலசையில ஒரு கிராமம். அந்த கிராமத்துல நாங்க சின்ன குழுவா செயல்பட்டுக்கிட்டு இருந்தோம். முன்னாடி மீன் தொழில் தான் பார்த்தோம், ஒன்றும் கட்டுப்படி ஆகல. அதோட இந்த மன்னார் வளைகுடா திட்டம்னு ஒரு திட்டம் வரவும் அதுல குழுவுல சேர்ந்து நாங்க இப்ப நல்லா செயல்படுறோம். எங்களுக்கு அதுல இருந்து நல்ல வருமானம் வருது, பிள்ளை குட்டிகளை படிக்க வைக்கிறோம், நல்ல முன்னேற்றமா இருக்கும்.
The leaves of the palm trees are also being used to make roof mats by SHGs in Erwadi region. This is a constant requirement and generates a regular income for the SHG.
பெண்கள் தன்னுடைய குடும்பத்தை நல்ல முறையில் நடத்தி முன்னேற வாய்ப்புக்கு இந்த மன்னார் வளைகுடா எங்களுக்கு செய்ததனால் நாங்கள் இந்த மீன்பிடி மக்கள் முத்தரையநகர் கிராமத்தின் உள்ளவர்கள் இந்த மன்னார் வளைகுடாவின் உயிர் காப்பகம் போல் ஆமை, ஆவுளியா போன்று 56 தடை செய்யப்பட்ட உயிர் காப்பகங்களை நாங்கள் காத்து அவர்களுக்கு நாங்கள் உறுதுணையாக இருந்து இந்த ஏர்வாடி ராமேஸ்வரம் தீவில் இருந்து தூத்துக்குடி வரை இந்த மீனவர் கிராமங்கள் இந்த உயிர் காப்பகத்தை அவங்களுக்கு காத்து கொடுக்கின்றோம்.
Since palm trees are found in abundance, palm jaggery making provides regular income to the women. Collection of the juice is done by the men, while the making of jaggery is done by the women. In Tuticorin region, some SHGs use palm leaves to make a variety of ornamental baskets and toys for sale. In the dry landscape of Dhanushkoti, Prosopis juliflora is in abundance. Charcoal making from this tree is an activity which has received considerable success and has encouraged many villagers to give up their traditional fishing practices for a better income.
இங்கே இருக்கிற சுமார் 60 மீனவர் குடும்பங்கள் வாழ்கிறாங்க. இந்த குடும்பத்தை சேர்ந்த எல்லாருமே மீன்பிடி தொழில் தான் ஆரம்ப காலத்தையும் செஞ்சுட்டு வர்றாங்க. இது மாட்டு தொழிலுங்கிறது எதுவுமே இல்லை. ஆனால் மீன் இப்போ உள்ள சமீப காலங்கள்லாம் மீன் போடி ரொம்ப குறைஞ்சி போச்சு. ஒவ்வொருத்தர் ஒரு 2 கிலோ 3 கிலோ பிடிச்சிட்டு வர அளவுக்கு தான் இருக்க தவிர மாதிரி 10 கிலோ 5 கிலோலாம் இல்லை. ஆனால் மாட்டுத்தொழில் ஏதாவது வருமானு எல்லா மக்களும் ஏங்கிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. அதுக்கு ஒரு இணையாகத்தான் வந்து இந்த மன்னார் வழியோட உயிர்களை காப்பாற்றுவதன் மூலமாக நிதி உதவி வழங்கி மீனவ மக்களுக்கு மாட்டுத் தொழில் பண்றதுக்கு ஏற்பாடு பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. அதன் மூலம் வந்து மீனவ மக்கள் எல்லாம் வந்து மீன் வாங்கி விற்கிற வியாபாரம் பண்றாங்க கூட்டுத்தொழில சேர்ந்து.
In some villages of Kelakarai, women engage in jasmine cultivation. The flowers have a great demand in Rameshwaram.
இந்த மன்னார் வளைகுடா திட்டத்தின் மூலமாக அமைக்கப்பட்ட இந்த குழுவின் மூலமா இந்த சுழல் நிதி என்பது கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்காங்க. இந்த சுழல் நிதி என்பதை கொடுத்து இந்த சுழல் நிதி மூலமா மகளிர்களுக்கான குழு கடன் வழங்கப்பட்டிருக்குது, ஆண்களுக்கான குழு கடன் வழங்கப்பட்டிருக்குது. இந்த குழு கடனை வாங்கி அவங்க மல்லிகை தொழில் பண்றாங்க. இது ஏற்கனவே உள்ள மீன்பிடி தொழிலை காட்டிலும் ஓரளவுக்கு சுமாரான வருமானத்தை இதில் பெற முடியுது. ஆகவே இந்த மாதிரியான குழு கடன் மூலமா ஓரளவுக்கு நல்ல வருமானம் கிடைக்குது. இது இன்னும் கூடுதலான நிதி என்பதை கேட்டுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அதற்கான ஏற்பாட்டை பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
Since fishing is and will always be a part of the villagers' main activity in the Tamil Nadu coastline, livelihood options have also been explored so as to allow for sustainable fishing practices. The SHGs in Vellapatti have organized themselves into a pickle-making unit. Running it like a small-scale unit, the women have established themselves in the market. In Dhanushkoti, dry fish processing provides a regular income as well as prevents wastage of the small bycatch. Seaweed cultivation is another useful livelihood activity, as it uses the traditional knowledge of the community. Since seaweed is cultivated, the exploitation of it in the wild is prevented. Required in medicines, seaweed fetches a good value for the villagers. In order to prevent the exploitation of the local fishermen by middlemen, local fisherfolk are encouraged to be their own salesmen. Today in many villages, when the fish lands, the collection and supply to the market is done by a trained local fisherman. The Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Trust, in consultation with NGOs, has set up a range of new income generation activities which seek to bring in scientific technology into the region. A polytechnic in Tuticorin trains the youth in computers as well as provides skill training in machinery like JCBs.
நான் வந்து திரேஸ்புரம் வில்லேஜில் இருக்கோம். அப்பா திரேஸ்புரம் கடலில் மீன் பிடிக்க போவாங்க. நான் +2 முடிச்சுட்டு வீட்டில் சும்மா இருந்தேன். அப்போ கல்ஃப் ஆஃப் மன்னார் ட்ரஸ்ட்ல இருந்து ஃப்ரீ கம்ப்யூட்டர் கோர்ஸ் அரசனா பாலிடெக்னிக் காலேஜ் நடத்துறாங்க. அப்போ அதில் ஜாயின் பண்ணேன். இப்போ அதில் கம்ப்யூட்டர் கோர்ஸ் ஃப்ரீயாக நடத்திட்டு இருக்காங்க. எனக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கு. என் ஃபியூச்சருக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Training programs for nurse assistants have been initiated in Ramnathpuram and Tuticorin.
பகுதி இந்த இடத்துல ரவுண்டட் ஷேப்பா இருக்கும். இந்த இடம் மறுபடியும் இங்கிட்டு இந்த கை வரணும் பாத்தீங்களா, அதுக்கு இது எப்படி?
எங்க அப்பா பேரு துரைசாமி. நாங்க வந்து கஷ்டப்பட்ட குடும்பத்தை சேர்ந்தவங்க. எங்க அப்பா வந்து மீன் பிடிக்கிற வேலை பாக்குறாங்க. இப்படி போன வருஷம் தான் +2 முடிச்சோம். ஆனா வந்து நர்சிங் படிப்போம்னு நினைக்கவே இல்லை. நர்சிங் ஃபீல்ட் படிக்கணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்டோம். இந்த வருஷம் மன்னார் வளைகுடா மூலம் அப்படி ஒரு சான்ஸ் கிடைச்சிருக்கு. இதனால ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு.
Training centers for girls in tailoring, designing, beauty parlor training. statue making are some of the other interventions which have received considerable success. The project also realized the need to empower local people to take up activities at an individual level, which would supplement the income of the household. These include textile shop, grocery shop, idli making, halwa making, bakery, cement rings and many others. A tourist van has started plying, which takes visitors on a journey to the end point of the Indian coastline in Dhanushkoti. Beetle cultivation is another activity which has received some success. Today, midway into the project, the changes are more than evident. Not only are the endangered species like turtles being saved, a new generation is emerging which is looking for its livelihood in non-fishing practices. With alternate livelihoods, many illegal fishing practices can be weaned away. Illegal practices like coral mining have been stopped. This has contributed to an increase in coral cover by 4% between 2006 and 2008. The project is beginning to see changes, particularly in gathering together various stakeholders to work in a more collaborative manner. This includes joint patrolling, collective planning by various departments, and implementation of legal instruments that support sustainable use and conservation of coastal resources. The fishermen will always be a part of this coastline, but with time, in a more sustainable and environment-friendly manner. The work of the Trust has given a healing touch to the troubled waters of the Gulf of Mannar.